Welcome to JazzTime.com. JazzTime.com is an online store that buys, sells, trades authentic luxury watches. We make these videos so our customers can easily choose the best watch for themselves in the comfort of their own home. We offer the lowest prices anywhere online. If you want to know the price of the watch, simply click on the links in the description below. We greatly appreciate it if you buy a watch from JazzTime.com once in a while. Today I have something a little special. This is an Audemars Piguet watch. It's a boutique only piece. It's a Royal Oak Selfwinding watch and a 37mm with a beautiful blue dial. As you can see, fresh, just got it fresh, as you can still see, so very nicely stickered and even cased with a plastic at the moment. And I'll be taking that all off as we sort of go through this review process. So I'll be talking about the dial, bezel, case, crown, bracelet, clasp, and I'll talk about the movement towards the end of the video. Alright, so starting off, this is, like I mentioned, this is a boutique only piece. Boutique only being that only special Audemars Piguet retailers do have this specific dial color, this blue dial color. And it's only for the blue dial color. The other versions of this watch is also a white dial or a special dial called a ruthenium dial, which is sort of like a rhodium, sort of like a light rhodium-ish color, light rhodium, light grayish colored dial. So but besides that, just completely same style. It's just that the blue specifically is the most popular and most in demand. So the white and the ruthenium, they're readily available if you're looking to get those. But if you're looking for something, if you're looking for that beautiful blue dial from AP, you might have a harder time getting that from a boutique. But here at JazzTime.com, we have no problems trying to get you this watch. Give us a call. We'll try to help you. We'll try to get this watch on your wrist as soon as possible. But anyways, let's go ahead and take that watch out of the box there. You can see beautiful blue style dial. The dial specifically, the pattern is, you know, unique to Audemars Piguet's. It's called it's a tapisserie pattern style dial. Audemars Piguet makes different versions of this sort of square patterning on their dials themselves. I believe they have Lady Tapisserie, Petite Tapisserie, Grand Tapisserie, and Mega Tapisserie. And what that really all means is that the variations of these little square markers that sort of are rather these square patternings that give depth to the face of the watch, as you kind of see, actually has a nice, very beautiful like sunburst style feature where, you know, you tilt it against the light. It has various contrastings of that blue in various areas, with, you know, darker shades of the blue, lighter shades of the blue. But not only that, the light actually catches each individual square in its own way, sort of giving that nice little three-dimensional feel to the face of the watch. So absolutely unique style, you know, unique style dial. But back to what I was saying, the differences of those tapisserie patternings, you know, petite, grand, and mega, is just the size of this square patterning. So if you don't like the sort of smaller square patterning, you can up it up to a larger one. I believe is a mega tapisserie. You can go down to petite tapisserie for even a smaller version. And of course, the Lady Tapisserie is mainly meant for more ladies' watches, which is just sort of a circular pattern that has these squares in the square patterning in that circular face. All right. But besides that, it's your typical standard Royal Oak watch. We have nice index hour markers from 1 to stopped by the 3 o'clock position, as there's a date window on there. There's no magnification or anything on it, as it's already easy enough to read with a nice black background and white date text that sort of contrasts very nicely against, you know, the shades of blue. So it's already easy enough to read. And then we have the index hour markers continuing. Of course, we have minute indices in between each hour marker. And then we have just various very small amounts of text. So we have the Audemars Piguet name at the 12 o'clock position with the Audemars Piguet logo right above that. Automatic, as this is an automatic watch. And at the 6 o'clock position, we have the Swiss made. I'll go ahead and zoom in so you can take a even closer look at that dial. You can see very, very beautiful dial. But besides that, it's not really much else to say about the dial itself. It's just a very, very simple dial that just looks absolutely gorgeous. One thing I do want to show you is the sort of glow-in-the-dark features of the dial itself. So I'm going to go ahead and charge it up. Those that loom on the hour markers themselves. Shut off my light box here so you can get a better look of this. of how this watch would look at night. So at night, this is what you would be seeing. You would see, beautiful green luminescence from the hour markers themselves, meaning you'll be able to wear this watch out and about. You have a long day, then you can count on your watch to be easily read at night as well. All right, so moving on, we're going to go ahead and move on to the bezel now. Bezel is your typical octagonal bezel with H-shaped screws. As you can see, the screws are a nice high polish that sort of breaks up the brushing finish of the bezel itself, which is a very nice thing to do. Contrast is always great. I've mentioned it so many times in my videos, and it is a reason why they've done that, because just having the whole face of the case just brushed would probably just wash out everything else. But adding just nice hints of mirror polish, even on the screws themselves, adds a nice little interesting contrast to the face of the watch. You can even see it on the bordering of the bezel as well, that they've added the high polish, so it gives a nice sort of frame to the face of the watch in general, and helps with giving it a more appealing shine to the face of the watch, not only counting on the sunbursting feature of the blue dial, but also just to sort of break up the monotony of just having it all be a brush finish. So very nice usage of the high polish for this watch. Okay, moving on to the case now. The case size is a 37mm case, or rather 37mm diameter, specifically referring to the overall dial. So from my index finger to my thumb here, that's 37mm in diameter. But for AP watches, they typically wear just a tad bit larger than they look, mainly because it's from the side of the case here. So I'm going to push this box back a little bit so you can see. From the side of the case, you can see that the lugs themselves are very angular. They're angled at a 45-degree angle, so it sits very comfortably on the wrist. But Audemars keeps in mind that they don't want their face of the watch just to be all face, just all dial. So they sort of angle the lugs like that to give it a little more, length to the tops and bottoms, to really proportion everything out in a very nice way. So it doesn't, even though it's a 37mm, it just fits a little bit. Seems like it fits a little bit larger, just because of just keeping that shape, the whole shape in mind, that nice silhouette shape. I'm actually going to go ahead and peel off the sticker now, because we're going to move on to the bracelet soon, but I actually want to take off the plastic off the case itself, and you can see that it's so satisfying. Can you imagine getting a brand new watch and being able to take the stickers off? All right, so that's one sticker off. So that's the stickers for the bracelet, and then I'm going to go ahead and take this off the pillow. Go ahead and remove that plastic casing that sits on top. So there's a back piece, and then there's a front piece as well. Sometimes it's on here a little tight, a little snug, and there we are. So look at that. Sort of, I should have taken it off earlier for you guys. I was taking it off earlier for you guys, so you can see just absolute beautiful shine from that stainless steel, from the bezel, that beautiful high polish being very reflective. Here's a side profile of that case. Once more, you can see beautiful usage of the high polish, sort of sandwiching it with the back of the case as well. You can see high polish on the back of the bezel, high polish on the back of the case, and then sandwiched with a nice brush finish, nice angular shapes, very aggressive angular shapes, of course. Is what makes AP AP. But I just want to do some little size comparisons, so you guys kind of get an in general idea of what a 37mm looks like. So I'm going to take out, of course, competitor brand. This is a Rolex Submariner. Rolex, Rolex's flagship model, their standard Submariner. This is not the updated version for 2020. This is actually the previous model that just got discontinued. This was a 40mm, and you can see this is a 37mm. Even though this 3mm is a difference, it almost looks somewhat similar in terms of wear. It doesn't actually look as large, of course, as the Submariner, but you can see it's a very nice sleek shape, and it just seems to wear just a little bit larger because of the angular shape. You can see that the lugs fall back into space rather than just abruptly ending and then starting with a bracelet. So that's just a small little design that I do like from the Audemars Piguet. So that's just next to a Submariner. But what does it mean to be sort of similar to Audemars Piguet? Well, here's a 41mm Audemars Piguet. So if you're, you know, the 37 is more of a unisex. If you think about it, it's more for people, you know, ladies with a little bit larger of a wrist, or even men with a little bit smaller of a wrist. You got options with Audemars Piguet. You got options with any watch brand. I just want to show you this option so you know you have the best choice. You know, you have the best choice in mind to buy. So this is, once again, 37 on the left. This is actually a 42, I believe, on my right. As a 42mm, so you're looking at a 5mm difference. So you can kind of see the sort of change from how large it can be. Even though the 37 was very similar to the 40, even the 42, you know, when you get to the Royal Oak offshores and such, when you get to the 42mm and standard 44mm for the offshores, you can see that, you know, there's two different people in mind. It's, you know, people with smaller wrists, of course, and then people with just much larger wrists. If you're, you know, if you're average, if you're just a small guy, you're not going to be wearing a Royal Oak offshore, which is this 42mm. This is actually the smaller of the offshores. It's a 42mm versus what would be a 44. But you still even got, you know, a crown guard that juts from the side of the case with additional pushers and such. And, you know, once again, it still utilizes that sort of angular shape from the side of the case to make it look just a little bit larger than it is. So, you know, if you're a smaller guy, you might want to go with the 37mm, or if you're getting this for your wife, then you might want to get the smaller version, because the 42 is actually quite large, even though it's not that drastic of a difference in terms of millimeter shaping, millimeter sizing. So that's just something to keep in mind when buying Audemars Piguet watches. So just be very, very wary about the size in general. But I'll actually try on this one on the right here on my wrist. You can get a sense of scale of how these watches would look on the wrist. So I'm gonna just go ahead and put this back away. You know, if you really need to sit down and look at the size differences, you can pause the video. It's a YouTube video, so you have no problems there if you need to take a longer look at that. But anyways, back to the watch itself. You know, if you didn't like that previous chrono that I pulled out, this watch also comes on a chrono as well. If you want a larger version, there are 41mm versions available for this watch as well. So there's 41mm versions, there's a chrono version as well. It's really up to your personal preference of, you know, your general wrist size, what you prefer to wear, how, you know, if you prefer more of a sleek, versus a more thicker watch. As this watch itself, the Royal Oaks actually don't sit very high off the wrist. They're actually only I believe about 26mm in thickness in terms of the height profile of it, versus the offshores when you get into the little bit larger versions. Actually, I'm completely wrong about that. It's about a 9.8mm in thickness for this specific Audemars Piguet watch. But I believe like the offshores run around the 14.5mm of thickness for that, and even the smaller versions of the offshores, the 42mm, where they've used an integrated chronograph movement. So it's a smaller casing, are around like 12.5 as well, or 12.9, 12.5, somewhere around there. So this is, you know, the most sleekest, most comforting of the Audemars Piguet sizings if you're looking for a smaller smaller watch for your wrist. So once again, that's total 37mm in diameter, a 9.8 in thickness in terms of height profile. All right, now let me actually go ahead and show you this. Show you the crown functions. We're going to unwind the crown counterclockwise here. And the standard position is where you can wind the watch about 15 to 20 winds from a dead stop, meaning that if your watch, you know, you place your watch down on the table over the weekend and you didn't have a chance to walk around with it to keep that oscillator moving and keep it wound, you'll have to rewind the watch from that position in order to get it moving once more. But once you do, you can readjust the date. By moving to the next position, you'll be able to see how quickly and easy it is to adjust that date at the 3 o'clock position. instantaneously. And then pulling out the crown to the final position will allow you to adjust the hands bidirectionally, of course stopping at the second hand for precise time setting as well. Pressing the crown back in, we'll start that second hand once more. And also make sure you screw the crown nice and tight in against the case. And this is not even for Audemars Piguet watches, this is just for any watch in general, as you want to keep your watch water resistant. This watch is specifically rated for 50 meters or 166 feet. All right, moving on to the bracelet now. You can see very beautiful stainless steel bracelet, as you would expect from Audemars Piguet. Apologize, give me 1 second here. All right, so beautiful style bracelet, all brush finish, nicely linked together. Beautiful tapering from the first link down from that initial 45-degree angle from the lug of the case. And of course, that's all just in proportion. As I pull it back away from the camera, you can see that it just flows very nicely from the top lug back, from the bottom lug back. And then as we move on, you'll see that it comes to one uniform shape. You can see here with the Audemars Piguet logo for the clasp itself. Okay. The clasp is simply opened up as with these two pushers as a sort of butterfly deployment. As you can see, Audemars Piguet name on both sides. One's right side up, one's upside down. And it's all in a brush finish. I'm gonna go ahead and close that up. We always close it up with the side that has a little lever on it first, because the AP portion needs to sit on top of that. And then it makes this beautiful continuous pattern of the bracelet itself. All right, so not really much else to say about the bracelet. It's your standard Audemars Piguet bracelet. So moving on to the movement now, you can see the beautiful movement. Of course, the caseback is it's an exhibition style caseback, which has a sapphire crystal that you know, of course, defends it sort of keeps the movement, you know, from being harmed. Obviously, if you're being able to be viewing the movement itself. This is the oscillator right here. I believe this is made out of 24 karat yellow gold, and you'll see that there's very distinct sort of shapings on the oscillator itself, which is the coat of arms, one for Audemars and one for Piguet, as Audemars Piguet is two different families, so they have two different sets of coat of arms. I believe it's like stars, rooks, and doves, and horse and stars as well. I'm probably not going to delve too much in the history of that. I just want to show you how beautified that oscillator is itself. And then of course we have the Geneva waves and rhodium plated bridges and such for the movement itself. You can even see that it mentions that how many jewels are in the movement itself. So it's a very beautified movement, of course, and the case backing that has the Royal Oak name embossed at the 12 o'clock position, then nicely satin finish in a circular motion instead of going with a sort of vertical brushing along with the case. Okay, and then of course we have the screws that go from the top of the case to the back, as that's what holds the case together. All right, so specifically for the movement itself, the movement is an in-house made movement by Audemars Piguet that was actually released back in 2003, I believe, drafted earlier in the 1990s, but then actually released to the public in 2003. So it's almost a 2-decade-old movement. It's a self-winding caliber 3120 movement, of course in-house made by Audemars Piguet. The sizing of the total diameter of that movement is 26.6 millimeters, which is that measurement that I accidentally said earlier. But that's what gives it that nice thin case sizing that makes it nice and sleek overall. The movement itself, you know, is a tried and tested movement. If it's already been out for that long and there's been no problems, the only real thing to mention about the movement that affects you as a consumer is that the power reserve of the movement. If you don't have a watch winder, don't plan to get one, don't care for one, then you'll know that the power reserve of the watch is how long it can go, or rather how it can keep ticking down time before it actually just stops, because automatic watches are wound by first of all the crown, as I've shown you, but also by the natural movements of your wrist. So it keeps that oscillator, which I'll show you once more, this gold oscillator, you can see that it shifts around. But when it's on your wrist, it'll do full revolutions and continuously charge your watch using the natural movements of your wrist, keeping it going. But if you do decide to place the watch down, you're not feeling of wearing it around the house for the weekend, you just want to relax before you go back to work, then you have that 60 hour power reserve. You know, you put it down on Friday, you get back from work, you go back to work on Monday afternoon or Monday morning, it'll be keeping time just fine because it has that 60 hour power reserve. So that's just something to keep in mind if you don't have a watch winder and don't plan to get one. Otherwise, if you have a watch winder, it doesn't mean anything to you because you could just leave it on a watch winder and it'll be fine. But yeah, anyways, let me show you this watch on my wrist now. So we're gonna go ahead, locate that AP, open that up. Remember, bar side first before it goes to AP side. So bar side first, and then the AP sits on top. Okay, this I have an average man size wrist of a 7-inch wrist, so this is going to be set a little bit tight on me because it is a smaller, you know, it is a smaller watch. So I'm actually just going to go ahead and just put one side for now. But there you go, you can see it actually looks pretty nice on my wrist, minus the minus the actual sizing of the bracelet itself. It just looks, I wouldn't say exactly fits on my wrist, but if you have a smaller wrist than me, then this would fit almost perfect for you. You can see it doesn't sit too high. Has a typical, you know, the stuff you would expect from AP, the octagonal case. Very beautiful tapisserie dial, beautiful stainless steel bracelet. I also forgot to mention, even the bracelet itself has a chamfers that continue from the lugs all the way to the sides of the bracelet. So that's how that looks. But I do want to give you that size comparison, like I said. So let me get that 41 millimeter. So there's that 41. You can see much larger. So it might not, 41 might not be the best case for you if you have an average wrist like me, because even the 41 looks big on my wrist. It's not even next to my wrist actually, so a little bit up my arm, and it still looks ginormous. So there's nothing wrong with having a bigger watch. You know, everyone has different body shapes, and you know, watch brands always make different sizes so we can fit those shapes. So really just find which watch you think would work best for you. I would definitely say this 37 millimeter is more of a unisex for a little bit larger ladies, a little bit smaller men. The nice in between, the sort of Goldilocks of watches. So if you're interested in this watch for the lowest possible price, check out our website, jazztime.com. We have the lowest prices, and if you like the video, please like, comment, subscribe below. Thanks for watching. Hope to see you guys soon.
If you want to find out more about the watch you just saw in the video, you can just click below on Show More to see the full description. Then you can check the link next to model as seen in video, click on it, and you will get to the proper page where you can see all the details. If you're watching on a mobile phone, you have to click on the arrow down on the right hand side below the video to see the full description. If you like this video, please give us a thumbs up. If you would like to share this video with your friends, you can use the share button below and share it on any platform you like. If you have questions, constructive feedback, want to tell us about some mistakes or misspeaks, just write a comment below. If you want to see more videos like this, you should subscribe to our channel and visit our channel page where you can find all the videos. And if you're interested in a specific watch brand, you can check out our playlists. If you want to check the price for a watch or want to buy one, remember at jazztime.com you always get a steep discount, so you should check the prices with us. If you want to know the price for a specific watch, just go to Google, type in JazzTime, plus the brand, model, and the details you're interested in, and Google will find the right page for you. Thank you for watching.